Welcome to RIoT Startup Spotlight series, where we shine a light on the visionaries and disruptors who are shaping the future. I'm Jen Morgan, and today we bring you an exclusive interview with Randy Batten, founder and CEO of Kapillary. Hi, Randy.
Good morning.
To begin, can you tell us a little bit about your company?
Sure. Kapillary is an early stage startup focused on helping municipalities, specifically pre-treatment departments, and we can get into exactly what those are, to improve their efficiency and effectiveness of their FOG programs. FOG stands for fats, oils, and grease. So basically, those programs are created by cities and run by cities so as to manage the grease that's coming from restaurant operations and other food service operations. You can think schools and hospitals and really any non-residential food serving sites are required to do certain things and also install certain preventative measures that help treat the waste coming from those operations before it goes to the sewer system, and then eventually to the central wastewater treatment plant in each city. That water gets treated before it goes to the streams and lakes and rivers and oceans and such.
That's really interesting. What kind of previous experience did you have that kind of influenced your role today? What's your background?
Sure. I worked for a manufacturer of grease interceptors. There's these plumbing devices that are designed to capture the fats, oils, and grease coming from food source operations so it doesn't go to the sewer system. I worked for that company for 20 years and ran it as president for 10 of those years. And during that time span, constantly heard about this problem as expressed from municipalities, the folks that are running these programs, as well as the food service operators themselves, of not really knowing when their grease interceptor needs to be serviced periodically. So basically, these plumbing devices are large tanks. They're installed in the ground typically, and usually if you go through a drive-through, you're driving over the grease interceptor. You'll see the manhole covers on top that you're driving over. And then periodically, a pump truck will come by and suck out the contents of the grease interceptor so it can continue to do its job of capturing the fats, oils, and grease there before preventing it from going to the sewer system. And then the contents of that grease interceptor are then recycled usually into some form of useful byproduct. So during that time span of working for the manufacturer, encountered this problem, and one day randomly had a concept for a sensor design that could be put into any grease interceptor and reliably and at a reasonable cost be able to assess on a real-time basis the status of the grease interceptor. And so that's what how Kapillary was formed, was to develop this sensor concept further, and then hopefully into a business model also that will work for the municipality.
That's really interesting. As you were working through this, were you hearing from mainly on the restaurant side or on the municipality side? And like what led you to figure out who that customer was?
Yeah, honestly, both audiences have expressed confusion, at times frustration of not having good, reliable data to say, that this grease interceptor is ready to be pumped or is in good working order. Once they're installed and put in the ground and put into service, it can be a little bit of a mystery as to where things stand. Ultimately, it's the type of cuisine, how much grease is being discharged by the food service operation, the number of meals served per day, just a variety of things that go into determining how full the grease interceptor is. And that, not having that information can lead to a lot of problems. Certainly, if they're not being maintained quickly enough, then the problem doesn't go away that the city is trying to prevent. which is ultimately grease blockages occurring in the sewer system. For the same reason you want to keep cholesterol out of your arteries, the city wants to keep it out of the sewer system, because if these blockages occur, it could lead to sewage backing up into city streets, into buildings, into nearby fresh water as well. So it's a major safety and sustainability challenge. Hence the need for these grease interceptors. But again, coming back to it, there's just not been a good, reliable way of assessing the condition of these interceptors until the development of this sensor that Kapillary is currently working on.
Interesting. So what made you decide to start your own company around this? What shifting away from that other company to this?
Yeah, I just saw the need to explore this technology in another company, that it would ultimately impact Kapillary's target customer more effectively in another company rather than the previous company I was working for. And why, getting back around to one of your questions I didn't answer before, why municipalities, so food service operators as a target customer is both share responsibility in dealing with this pollution, certainly. What the food service operation does, their cleaning operations, what they do with their fat, oils, and grease, definitely does impact the overall outcomes of the entire system. However, ultimately, the municipality, the pre-treatment departments in municipalities, that is where the buck ultimately stops for this problem. And so they own it the most. They're concerned with it the most. All of the legal infrastructure created, basically stemming from the Clean Water Act, all cascade to ultimately create this responsibility that it ultimately falls on their shoulders. So I feel like municipalities, and by the way, Kapillary is a pre-revenue company at this point, so I'll be finding more of this out, but municipalities ultimately are going to be affected the most and will benefit the most from this new technology that Kapillary is bringing to market.
Interesting. So what have your biggest challenges been so far that you've encountered as a startup?
Yeah, I think ultimately it's just the transition from the company and the type of work and sets of responsibilities that I had previously, where I had a small team at this manufacturer that I was running. I had a lot of support there, could bounce ideas off of folks and hear their ideas, and then we could all work together to go execute the plan. And now, as a solo entrepreneur at this point, still trying to find that perfect product market fit before going to market with the sensor product. So I don't have a team yet. I have a number of outstanding company partners that I'm working with to develop the product, both on the hardware side and software as well. But that transition to being alone in this venture has been a challenge. So I'm constantly seeking help from mentors, both through the RIoT Accelerator program and outside of it. So because at this point it's just me, and I'm just relying upon myself. So I'm making a lot of mistakes, and I'm having to learn how to be comfortable with that, and also just seeking advice wherever I can find it.
You touched a little bit on, do you have any mentors, but can you talk a little bit more about those mentors and how they've inspired you?
Sure. I think number one, mentors have got to be my parents. They have been a constant source of inspiration and knowledge for me as well, because they started a company 41 years ago, still in operation. And they have accrued a lot of expertise in running that company over the years. And so yeah, I'm constantly dialing up Dad to get his thoughts on different decisions that I'm making of significance.
That's awesome. My parents are heavily involved in my life still, so I feel that. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs and future startup founders based on your experiences and lessons learned?
Well, I'm early on in my entrepreneurship journey, but I would say that so far what I've learned is to be predisposed towards action. I think that it's easy to, particularly when you're in this phase where you've not necessarily developed a lot of expertise in certain areas, to think that you can't do it, and or you should, you have to seek outside expertise. That can be good, but I think there's a benefit to being predisposed towards action, because you can learn a lot from that. And I think that there's also just a tendency to be afraid of failure. That also has to be overcome. So if you can do all those things, you're going to be ahead of most of your peers in learning faster. And I think you'll also find out there's really nothing to be afraid of in trying. And so yeah, just being predisposed towards action.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions that we have. Thank you so very much for sharing your story with us today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you. You as well. Bye.